Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 248 for the 29th of October. The past 24 hours weather looked like shit in Ukraine. A lot of clouds, which suggests that there might be quite a bit of rain, which would actually make the autumn ground, even more muddier and harder to traverse across, even by foot. So let's start off with the biggest news, which is actually at Crimean. So there was a major aerial and naval drone strike on the Black Sea Fleet at the Sevastopol, and this is clearly acknowledged by the Ukrainian side to be their doing. And according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, they reported that the attack is happens on at 4:20 a.m. and it's against the Black Sea Fleet. I don't think it's against civilian ships. They just want to make it sounds more horrible. And so the attack involved 9 drones, aerial drones, and 7 naval drones. And all these drones, if I'm not wrong, they are all suicide drones. And of course, the air drones are easily taken out because the Russians are already pretty good at taking out naval drones, but they were not exactly good at taking out this naval aerial drones. They can take out the aerial drones easily, the air drones, but naval drones is a bit harder because no one really knows how to deal with naval drones. They actually use helicopters and ships to fire upon all these naval drones. But these naval drones actually is like speedboats, so they are really fast, and they use helicopter to shoot machine guns at it. There are videos showing that. And however, 2 ships still got damaged. According to the Russian side, they only say there's only 1 ship that was damaged, which is the sea minesweeper, the minesweeper Ivan Globitz. And they say that the floating net boom at the Vysnaya Bay was also damaged. But according to the footage, it shows that the flagship of the Black Sea Fleet, the frigate, is actually damaged as well. It was one of the targets. So so this is actually a very serious attack, because the interesting thing is that the Russians are able to claim how these things is done. They said that this attack is prepared by the personnel of the 73rd Marine Special Operations Center with the supervision of British specialists in the city of Ochakov in the Mykolaiv region. And this is significant because is just, I show you where is it? It's here. It's just here. And the Russians actually have control over Provsky just across this gap here, and it's actually within an artillery strike. And the key point is that they say that the British Navy is actually involved in the organizing and implementation of the attack in the Nord Stream 1 and 2 gas pipeline as well. So basically, they are dragging the British down the water, the sea, along with this. Basically, the Russians seem to be really convinced that it's the British that is behind all this, including all this naval drone thing. And the pro-Russian source, Reiber, actually rightly asked that if you know this much, why did you not hit Ochakiv? Where all this plotting and preparation and command is actually happening at, because this is the naval base. There's a Ukrainian naval base here. So why the Russians did nothing despite knowing all this and allow something like that to happen. So I thought that is a very good question as well. And but as a result of this this strike, the Russians has decided to suspend the exportation of the agreement to allow the export of agricultural products from Ukraine. So previously this agreement allows the Ukrainian vessels to actually go through the gap here, the Kerch. I think this is the Kerch Strait, right? I forgot what is this called. Yeah. So basically allows the shipping of Ukrainians grain out to the world, and this is actually signed by the Russians, Ukrainians, and the Turkish. So now the Russians are pulling out, which means that they're going to do a naval blockade again against the Ukrainians now. And so Zelensky made a statement because he said that there's predictable statements made from Russia, which is I thought is a very hypocritical thing, because if you really want to do your export, the last thing you want to do is actually hit the Black Sea Fleet. But of course, you can also say that yeah, it's a war, right? So everything is a correct target. So this is kind of like a contradiction, because this the Black Sea Fleet that is being attacked are the same fleet that is actually ensuring the security and escort of all this shipping. So it is a contradiction, to be honest. And of course, Zelensky, saying this kind of thing is kind of a weird stuff. So basically, they say that the Russians are finally disrupting the export of the grain, and they deliberately exacerbate the food crisis back in September, because they say that the Russians actually block movement of ships which actually I did not read about. I do not know where this came from. I'm not sure if you have read this before. You can comment in the below to let me know if you have actually heard something like this, because they say from September, 176 vessels has already accumulated, and grain trucks has been waiting for 3 weeks. I have no idea if this is true. Maybe this is true, because I personally, I really didn't read anything about this, so it didn't really came out in my feed or in my information diet. So basically, the Zelensky accused Russia that they are deliberately and consciously blockading Ukraine, which actually makes no difference to what the Russians has been doing before this agreement. So I don't really see this any problem. So they say that even vessels with grain contracted under UN food program to the poorest country do not receive guaranteed opportunity to pass the sea route. And what I didn't indicate here is that the Russians literally ensure that they can counter Zelensky's words. They say that they promise free, I think 500,000 tons of grain for the poorest African countries. So the diplomatic war continues as of now. That EU and the US and UN had called on Russia to get back onto this deal. But to be honest, I don't think the Russians are interested in entertaining Ukraine anymore. I think it is really hard to say. They say there's a trust factor or trust credit has been spent, since they really don't trust each other. But there is, to the Russian side, there is certain level of trust on the Ukrainian side, but the trust has been eroded. And from the Ukrainian side, they already do not trust Russian at all, like zero. They just don't trust the Russians at all. So this deal to provide food through this channel is always going to fall, because the Russians themselves also claim that it is through all these shippings of grain that allow hidden supplies of weapons to reach Ukraine, and as well as the bombing of the Crimean. Oh, sorry, this is the Kerch. So that was not the Kerch. So the Crimean bridge explosion is partly through some of this documentary of things of these shippings of grains out of Ukraine that allows the bridge to be hit. So it's just a lot of mess, and think whatever you want. And over at Belarus, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported that there is Russian forces arriving at Brest, and so in this lovely Brest, there's a railway arrival of Russian troops, and there's also Chechen forces arriving over here at the beautiful Brest. And according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry as well, they say that there is Russian forces spotted in the settlements between Brest and Malarita. So there is a few settlements around here. So maybe around all these settlements, from the beautiful Brest to Malarita, there are some Russian forces are being spotted. Maybe they are moving along, maybe they are just positioned over there. We are not sure. It's the Ukrainian Defense Ministry don't really like to give details. So this is something to watch, because if there's accumulation of force here, there might be a case where the Russians are actually going to go for leave. They're going to cut down all the way south and cut off the resupply route to Poland. But this could also be a diversionary force. We are not sure exactly, what's the purpose of these forces over there, or maybe they're just guarding the border, perhaps. And moving on to the southern front. At the southern front, over at the Mykolaiv front, we have no updates. Very quiet. They're over at the Kherson front. At the Kherson front, there's a MiG-29 shot down over Pryshep, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. This location here, which also continues to indicate the lack of surface-to-air missile system within this front on the Ukrainian side. And the Ukrainians actually attack across the entire Kherson front here, all the way from Bruskinsky to and Sadok, Ischemka, Pyatikaki, Sukhanove, and Milov. Milove is actually here. It's just in the direction, so it's basically a major assault across the entire front again by the Ukrainian side. However, I think it didn't seem to yield any results as usual. So the Russian Defense Ministry reported that the enemy was thrown back to their initial position. So I just thought it's a bit painful to keep seeing the Ukrainians keep trying in this way. I think they should actually just launch a much bigger assault just to do it once and for all. And over at the south at Kalanchak, which is actually on the southern bank of the Dnipro River, there is reinforcement reported from also the Chechen forces, from arrival from the city of Grozny, or it could be just volunteers, not sure. They say it's Russian guards. Russian guards can mean a lot of things, so I'm not sure who are they. Just announced, reported within the Ukrainian Defense Ministry report. And there is within the report, they also mentioned that there are Russian forces deployed at Velika Znamenka. I think the deployment is actually a reaction to the constant amphibious assault being reported by the Russian Defense Ministry that Ukrainians are actually allegedly deploying. There is no clear evidence that the amphibious assault happened, but the actions seems to suggest that these attacks might be true, because you don't really send forces in this kind of region unless there's a real threat of amphibious assault along this Dnipro River. So take it as what you want, but this is from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, so I have to this actually corroborates a bit on what could actually be happening as per reported by the Russian Defense Ministry. Over at the Zaporizhia line, we do not have any updates in this region, not even at Vremivka, and that's all from the Zaporizhia line. And over at the Kherson region, so as per usual, so not Kherson region, Donetsk region, so this is Donetsk. And at the Donetsk region, the Russian forces launched a major assault over at the Voleda region against Voleda and Pavlivka. I have done a quick update on this. I posted the same video on both channels, the main channel and the DPA War channel. So please go and subscribe at the DPA War channel because I need you guys to subscribe there because we are still just only 10% of the people, I think less than 10%, like 5% of people has subscribed over there based on the total subscriber population here at the main channel. So I need you guys to go over and subscribe. The link is below in the description. And at Voleda, the Russian forces attacked and managed to have fire control over this highway in the northeast of Voleda. The Russians also attacked Pavlivka, and they have reached the outskirts of Pavlivka. The attack primarily come from the south, and they managed to break through the first line of defense, and they're actually at the outskirts. Otherwise, the fighting is still ongoing in this region. Moving on to the rest of the Donetsk front, there is fighting reported at Novomahailivka. The rest of these reports are coming from the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, so there's actually not much details on the fighting. So there's fighting reported at Marinka, at Krasnohorivka, and over at this Pisky region, there is fighting reported at Pervomaisky. And according to pro-Russian source Ryba, the Russian forces have already attacked into the other side of this Stavok Kesha or Kesha Lake. And they are already over at this other side. They are fighting. There's fighting reported between Pervomaisky and Vodian. So in this region, And in Vodian itself, there is also certain parts of Vodian has been captured by the Russian side. It's unclear exactly where, but it could be no more towards on the western side. And over at Opine on the northern part of the airport, the Russian forces are already also attacking Opine. Somehow in one of the map is drawn like a pincer. One come from the east and one come from the south, and so the entire region here is currently burning. And over at the Adivka region, there's fighting reported at Adivka. Reportedly not exactly sure where is actually the fighting, to be honest, at Adivka. There's fighting reported at Kayamka as well. The more interesting thing to me is actually the fighting at Oleksandropil. So according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, they actually listed Oleksandropil as one of the locations that's currently defending against the Russians. And this come after the Russians has been reportedly fighting at Novokalinove and Karamik. And now they are fighting at Oleksandropil, which means that the Russian forces is actually expanding the fight over at this region north of Adivka. So this is something to watch, because if they continue to attack in this region and manage to make a breakthrough, this could actually jeopardize the entire Ukrainian lines over at this New York region or at the Adivka region. Because once you have a breakthrough in this region, you can actually flank up or flank south, which will result in the encirclement of Ukrainian forces. So this is a rather significant development, if you ask me. And there's nothing else in the New York region. Moving on to the Bakhmut front. At the Bakhmut front, surprisingly quiet. There's nothing mentioned about all this region. And not even on the Ukrainian Defense Ministry side. They only mention fighting reported at Bakhmut and Bakhmutske, and there's also those reports coming from Ryber suggesting fighting reported at Soledar. There's fighting reported at Yakovlivka as well, according to the Ukraine Defense Ministry. And previously I mentioned that I have no idea why there is fighting at Yakovlivka over at the Donetsk region. Actually, I think as per someone have mentioned in the comment, that this could be actually referring to this one here on the northeast of Soledar. So I actually moved the entire icon over here. So thank you for the help. And moving on to the Sivers front, very quiet. We didn't hear of anything on the Sivers front. And moving on to the Liman Crimea front. So this Liman, this is Crimea, and we are currently in the northeast of Ukraine. Oh my god, my brain stopped working. So there's fighting reported at Toske, and let me move my eye. So fighting reported at Toske, according to our Russian source Ryber, and they actually, this is not by Ryber, actually this is actually quoted of another channel. And then so basically they are fighting in the region of Toske, and there is this capture of Nevsky. Let me click the link. Yeah, reported by Boris Rozin. So with this, then it does make sense that of the fighting reported towards Cheverno-Popivka, and oh my god, I think my mapping did not update. So anyway, the front line is now reportedly 3 to 4 kilometers from the highway. So if you look at the highway, is actually around here. I think so this is better. So you can see the highway. So it's around 3 to 4 kilometers. It's around here. So so the Ukrainian forces is trying to push across the entire line from Cheverno-Popivka to Zilivka. So this entire front line here, the Ukrainian forces is actually pushing, which then puts into question, whether the Russians actually have any positions over at Terny, because there is fighting reported at Terny. So but they also is right in the direction of Terny. So it could be also not Terny, but actually from Terny. And so pinch of salt. And over here at Makivka, there is fighting reported at Makivka. So the Ukrainian forces actually perhaps from the capture of Nevsky actually move northward towards Makivka. There is fighting reported south of Makivka, and that's all from the Liman Crimea front. And over here at the Svetove front, we have no updates. There's no information of any fighting around this region. However, there is fighting reported at the Kupiansk front. So this Kupiansk city, and at the Kupiansk front, the Ukrainian forces launched a major wide assault where there's fighting reported at Kromalny, at Tapaivka, and Ivanivka, Timkovka, and Timkovka. So the Timkovka is very interesting because this actually does not exist on the map, or at least not on Google Map. I managed to find the location because it was reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, and it's actually here. So it's actually does make sense to be there, but because this continues, to around here, and so it is actually a major, frontal assault across the entire front, and according to the Russian Defense Ministry, they said that the attack has not been successful, and as usual, some kind of heavy losses on the Ukrainian side. And as usual, I just want to say the Ukrainians should launch a much bigger attack to really punch through and stop retreating. You should really just go all the way. If not, we are just watching this repeat week after week, week after week. It's not very wise, wasting manpower like this. And interestingly, for those that are pro-Russian, the Russian Defense Ministry claim another 2 HIMARS it has been taken out by a missile strike, along with 4 tanks and 15 vehicles, ammunition depot, and 43 soldiers. So it's at this location called Staroverivka. So not exactly sure. Perhaps they are in this area. Not sure exactly. But of course, believe it at your own risk, because we don't really see evidence for this kind of thing. So we're not sure how true is this kind of thing. So anyway, this is the summary for the day of 248 for the 29th of October. Quite a bit of things, but the report's still only 22 minutes long. Anyway, do press the like button. Please press the like button, attack the like button, bombard it, shell it, nuke it, ramp it, hump it, do whatever you need, humiliate that like button, and please press the subscribe button to subscribe to this channel if you have not subscribed. And of course, for those that have not subscribed to the DPA War channel, I highly urge you to go and subscribe there, really. And I will see you in the next update.